everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another late for class video. Today I want to talk about the rash of virtue signaling that we're seeing today across Hollywood in general, but in particular in the MCU and from the MCU. It's like a switch has been flipped, and all of a sudden word has come down from on high, whether it's from Disney or Kevin Feige or whatever, but people have been told now is the time. Everybody go all in. Everybody make sure that people know that you're standing for diversity or whatever. We've seen some people have been talking about it for a while. You know, you've had your Tessa Thompson, and of course Brie Larson has been spreading her cancer, ever since she was cast. But Kevin Feige's cast his lot in now, and the Russo brothers have even come out now and talk about, they used to be the ones that people were hanging on to as, they're going to be the ones to still give us good stories. All of the forced inclusiveness or diversity talk or whatever is coming from on high, but they're still going to at least concentrate on good stories. We know that. Well, I don't know so much anymore. They came out and thrown their little lot in too, talking about how the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be diversity and inclusiveness, and that's our gold standard. Now, nobody really cares that we have more ethnically diverse or gender or sexual orientation or whatever characters. That's not a problem. This is the big bad boogeyman that they try to create. They need that sort of monster to exist, at least in people's minds, that people are so racist out there and they don't want women in the roles or different races in the roles. That's just not the case. They want that to be in people's minds so that they can justify any means necessary to go on their little crusade here. But that's not the case. No, what we care about are two things. One, the means that they're going about, their methods in trying to bring this about, and the narrative that they're trying to push about this. Let's start with the narrative first. They are trying to say that there's something wrong with Hollywood right now. Now I'm sure there's many things wrong with Hollywood, but no, they're trying to say in particular, the narrative they want to build up is that Hollywood is nothing but a boys' club, and that if you are a woman or a different race or whatever, then you've got so much stacked against you because the Hollywood just does not make movies. It doesn't make movies about racially diverse characters. It doesn't make movies about non-white characters and as heroes. It doesn't make movies about women as heroes. Thank God that Brie Larson came along and started this trend now that we have. Thank God we had her on her white horse to trot in and begin all of this for us, because certainly we had nothing like a Wonder Woman or anything like that. Those movies didn't exist at all. That's utter bullshit. That's simply not the case. That's what they want to push, though. They want to push that as the case, and it's a calculated marketing method here. They want to ignore. They will never mention any of the greats that have come before them, because Marvel Cinematic Universe wants people to think that they are blazing this trail. It's not the case. It's not true. They also want you to think that it's still a problem. It's a major problem, and it has to be dealt with. And the way you deal with it is to go see their movies, because they're dealing with it. That's it. Just the narrative doesn't exist. That's not the case on any kind of level. Even look at Brie Larson's nonsense comments all the way back in the day about Wrinkle in Time. You can look at the logic doesn't follow. You look at a body of film reviewers or whatever, and okay, let's say that this whole body of film reviewers are predominantly male. That doesn't necessarily mean that a Hispanic woman and an Indian male and a gay African American whatever, that doesn't mean that they all tried to be film critics and were all shunned out. Just there's a variety of reasons that could mean that. So the logic doesn't follow there. Plus, what is this assumption that we need to have a percentage-wise exact duplicate of genders, races, or whatever in a field? It'll have that correlate to the percentages of a population. They're very picky and choosy about what they want to apply that to. Do we need to bring more women into the sanitation industry? Do we need to have more women riding on the back of trash trucks? No, they don't care about that. They're not going to argue for something like that. No, but film critics. Oh yeah, that's something. That's a sexy role. We want to make sure we're all inclusive in that. So this narrative they've got, it's not built on any kind of logic. Is there such a thing as racism and sexism and whatnot in the world? Of course. But it's not this big monster that they pretend it to be. That's the narrative they're trying to push. And part of that narrative is that we don't have these movies in Hollywood yet, and we do. We've had wonderful films. It's just they are slapping these wonderful films we've had in the face by saying that we desperately need more films led by women and racial. I mean, like even their own films. We've had Black Panther, which was a solid film. I mean, it's more of them. That's fine. We don't care. But here's the problem. For the most part, they're unable to bring this more diversity and inclusiveness in without sacrificing story. And they shouldn't have to do this, but they do all the time. I mean, look at film in general. Look at A Wrinkle in Time. That should have been a slam dunk. That was a solid, time-honored, beloved story. A Wrinkle in Time, the novels. So many people love that story. It shouldn't have been that hard to adapt it to a solid film. But that's not what they were focused on. They were focused on making a movie about diversity and casting all of these different racial ethnicities, and that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to market it as such. That's where they spent their energy on. They did not spend their energy on making a coherent, well-told story of a film. And that's what they do time and again. This is what they did with Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, you could have made that into a decent story. It's not a great character to begin with in terms of the version they took from it, drew from there, or the Kelly Sue DeConnick and all that, BS inspiration they drew from the comics. But, still, you could have told a decent story, but that's not what they were concerned with. First and foremost, they were concerned with virtue signaling and with making sure that people knew that men are keeping women down, and this is the metaphor of the movie, and it's called a cockpit for a reason, honey. And it was just so ridiculous. It was bad storytelling throw that script back to workshop, for like another year. That needs help. It needs massive help. So Hollywood has proved, the MCU has proven, usually, like I said, something like Black Panther was an outlier, but they've really proven that they, when they concentrate on diversity and inclusiveness, they sacrifice the storytelling. And that's what we are upset about. That's what we don't like. And they're pushing this narrative right now. Tessa Thompson just wrote that essay about, Brie Larson is going to be the one to really make change in Hollywood. Again, a slap in the face to all of the great characters and great movies and actors who've already done this. We already had this. Tessa, and you get this from people who sometimes aren't really all that important, and they virtue signal to increase their hype, right? Tessa Thompson, you played Valkyrie. Now, you did a great job as Valkyrie. Even though I can't stand anything that comes out of your mouth as Tessa Thompson, I loved your role as Valkyrie, right? But you were Valkyrie. You were in one movie. Maybe you'll come back. Maybe you won't. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe you'll be back in Endgame. I don't know. But that was a calculated career move for her to start talking about, we need a woman's Avengers. By the way, guys, Valkyrie, she was bisexual too. Yeah, because woke. Because remember me, because, hey, keep me in the headlines so that I can maybe come into more of these movies. Even these individuals, they don't care that much about what they claim to care about. It's often motivated by career-wise and money and all of that. Or just solid identity, as I talked about in my Brie Larson video when she's insulting and being just an utter asshole on the promotional circuit there for Endgame. And even as I said, the Russo brothers are chiming in on this, and this is what really tells us, all of us people who we've invested in these stories, we've loved the Marvel Cinematic Universe from its inception. Now we're supposed to think, this was just a boys' club apparently, and it's thank God now they're trying to fix it. Thank God now we're going to get a decent representation. No, you're spitting in the face of everybody who's loved your universe, stuck with you, and gave you a lot of credit for the story you built up. We just don't care anymore now. As I said in the last video, and I've heard a lot of people quote it from that video, we're going to see Endgame as though we're going to a funeral. We are going to the last stand of some of the characters and story arcs that we've been invested in, because we know you have told us loud and clear that you do not wish to continue telling good stories with these characters. You don't even care about some of the characters, period. You're going to carry the ones over that you can still work with in terms of your new agenda and your new priorities that don't include good storytelling. You've told us that. So, we're going to go see the Captain America sacrifice himself. We're going to go see an end to Iron Man's story arc. We're going to go see the end of this, because we know that your universe is no longer a place where we can expect good, solid storytelling. And you're seeing that in a lot of fan response. I mean, you're always going to have your shills and your people who are just going to jump on the hype train and try and, because yay hype, they're addicted to it. But for the most part, I don't see any of the mass hysteria going on for this movie that I saw for Infinity War. They're doing all the marketing they can, but people just don't care as much anymore. With the spoilers, for example, when the spoilers came out, who cares? I posted on Twitter, I was like, I don't care if Reddit spoils this movie for me. I really don't. I would have been outraged. I would have avoided social media if this had happened before Infinity War, because or Civil War or anything like that. I was all in. This was my universe. I've adored these characters. I was invested in them. Some of the films that didn't measure up or whatever, it didn't matter. I mean, the filmmakers had built up a lot of trust and a lot of respect. Like I said, we're going to see it to close out, maybe, hopefully, desperately grab some sort of sense of closure from some of the characters and some of the storylines that we've loved. But this is no launch into a next wonderful, glorious phase. It's really not. And they know that on some level. That's why they're desperately trying to front load all of their wokeness and virtue signaling into the moment right now, when they know people are going to go see Endgame no matter what. They're trying to load all of that in there now, hoping that they can just kind of hook you along and make you, continue to go along with them in their future endeavors. And it's, no, it's not going to work. So the MCU is, it's got its expiration date, and it is pretty much next week when Endgame comes out. So, it's a shame. It's a damn shame, but I've talked about that enough before. But, where do you go? Where do you go if you want good, solid storytelling about superheroes, about genre storytelling or whatever? And thank goodness we have this wonderful indie movement right now. In comics, we had Comicsgate, but it's not just in comics. We've got indie filmmakers, we've got indie people. A lot of people standing up and saying, I'm not interested in the industry. It's just bullshit anymore. I want good storytelling. So there are a lot of new resources in the making for that. But, in terms of comics, we've got some solid resources out there. And you've got IndieCron, you've got the Indiegogo campaigns. I have my own comic, as many of my loyal viewers know, Tales from the Stacks. I will place that advertisement at the end of the video again. I need to make a new one, too, now that the campaign's been incredibly successful and moved into a in-demand store. But yeah, still things to grab. You've got part of the summer to still jump in on that before we go ahead and ship in the fall. So, yeah, jump in on that and do, surf Indiegogo for some great stories. They're out there. It's a shame that the ones we've loved for so long are being so mishandled, and we need to keep fighting for them to be properly handled. But in the meantime, we are not without solid, wonderful genre storytelling. So there's that. That's all for this one. I'll be back for more. Until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love. Thanks for watching.
Do you like comics that are unafraid to portray women as feminine and men as masculine? Do you enjoy being entertained rather than preached to? If so, then you'll love my own graphic novel currently on Indiegogo. Tales from the Stacks is an anthology series in the vein of The Twilight Zone or Tales from the Crypt. It contains 3 uncanny tales to thrill and haunt you long after reading. With interior art by Dave T. and variant covers by John Malin, Kyle Ritter, and Kyung Lee, you have lots of options to choose from. You can find the link in the description below or search Indiegogo for Tales from the Stacks, and tell the comic industry you don't have to settle for their social agenda platforming. Thanks. And last but not least, don't forget that your Professor Geek now has a merch store. Check out the current options from t-shirts to magnets to the iconic Professor Geek coffee mug, and let me know if you'd like to see something else. The link is in the description, or you can go to cafepress.com/ProfessorGeek.